What is going on, y'all? KMBest here. I've got a deck to show you that is leveraging a strategy that is near and dear to my heart. When in doubt, 10 them out. Now, I know there's going to be some understandable groans at the fact that this is yet another Thanos list, but I really do think that you're going to learn something from this video that is important to addressing the current metagame. That thing, and this is the one thing I really want you to take away from this video, is that leveraging Shadow King is an incredibly profitable thing to be doing right now. I'm a little bit caught off guard by the fact that if I want to leverage Shadow King, there are so few obvious options for doing so. There are a lot of decks that are sort of synergy-based that don't have room for a card like this, a lot of decks that are very much like playing a lot of Surge, and so Shadow King kind of sucks there, or at least is not perfect. There are a lot of decks that have prescriptive turn 6s that they can't fit Shadow King into, and there are a lot of decks that, while they make a lot of power, they rely on it being green power. Now, why is Shadow King so good, and why are we trying him in the Surtur Thanos shell? Well, the major reason here is this is a deck that is full of 4/10s, and there are a lot of lanes in the game that 10 power and a Shadow King just beat. Like, if you don't have priority, and your opponent is playing a Brood and putting it to like 9 power off of a Galacta and a Silver Surfer, you just win that lane off of the card Shadow King and 10 power. And that is basically what this deck is trying to leverage. It's just being like, look, I don't care how big your green power is. I don't care that your Captain Carter is at 8 power. It is actually going back to 2. You cannot count on her. You have to accept the L. And the reason we're able to build like this is there have been a couple of developments in the metagame recently that are worth pointing out. The first is Surtur has mostly finally given up the ghost on Juggernaut. They're winning lanes with points because the Thanos decks are filling up their boards. There's not actually a lot of ability to Juggernaut people in a meaningful way. So we end up using big numbers as our Juggernauts that say, I win this lane. All of those big numbers are vulnerable to Shadow King. And I think that the Surfer deck becoming a major player in this way is one of the major reasons why I like Shadow King here. But I would be remiss if I did not mention that every other Thanos deck, for the most part, barring the ongoing ones, is playing Strange Supreme stuff. Guess what eats him alive, unless they Cosmo or Eliath you? It's this guy. It eats him alive. And it is just a very real and powerful thing to be doing. Now, as to why we're doing it here instead of in the normal Surtur Scar Shell, honestly, I think you probably could do it in the normal Surtur Scar Shell. I just haven't figured out exactly what to do with my slots. There's an Enchantress in there that I don't want to cut, except that's what I would be cutting. If you cut the Enchantress, suddenly you're looking at cutting a Zabu because you don't actually have all of the stuff that you would otherwise want. One of the things that comes to mind for me is maybe trying like minus Zabu, minus Enchantress, plus Surge, plus Shadow King. But I just don't think I can play Surge in my Ebony Maw deck. I'm sorry. So, with all of that said, what I'm really trying to get across is I think there's a lot of potential in 4/10s plus Shadow King, and I think that needs to be investigated. I had a very successful run with this deck. It was very, very good. However, I also think it's worth pointing out that what this deck is doing is aimed pretty specifically at a couple of current metagame developments. I hope that is helpful. Let's jump in to the card-by-card breakdown. Sam Wilson is an absolute staple in pretty much every Thanos deck. I think at this point his utility is well worn. This is a card that can offer you increasingly scaled power, an ability to discount your Mockingbird, and of course, the ability to protect your stuff from Red Guardian. Just generally a very elite card in the archetype. Shadow King is the man here. I really cannot stress that enough. Shadow King is the thing that this deck does that gives it a competitive advantage over anything else it would be running into. The reason you'd play this deck is because you want to play a Thanos deck that actually is actively good with Shadow King. That requires a lot of naturally beefy bodies and not a lot of other stuff. It's so good that I almost want to try revisiting ongoing Thanos, but just with a Shadow King in it. That is literally how good this stuff felt. Like, Shadow King right now is a monster. He is farming Surfer decks. He is farming opposing Strange Supremes unless they're protected by a Cosmo. This is a card that is excellent and two of the most popular things you're going to see. It's not even that bad into Afflict if you can use it to like reset some Laufey and Hazmat procs. Just an absolutely elite card that you get a ton out of. Being a good Shadow King deck is a large part of what this deck is doing. A lot of people are on the fence as to like whether or not this card needs to be nerfed, if this card is the reason for Thanos' dominance, but the fact that there are multiple good Thanos decks and not all of them involve this, I think speaks to a larger cohort of cards that are problematic in Thanos, like Sam Wilson and Mockingbird, and of course Thanos himself. This is still a very good card though, and the fact that it is a cheap card that can scale up, you are very often going to have like a Strange Supreme and a 4/10, and that's going to get your Scar to be able to cost 3, which is enough that you're basically fine with it. Scar on the final turn of the game, alongside something like a Cosmo, is just usually going to be pretty damn solid. Now, since you are having to weave your stones in, one of the things you will feel with this deck is like a little bit more pressure to feed this guy, which can put you in conflict with Mockingbird. There is some tension there. You're still running both, though. They're just kind of messed up. Not only is armor a good anti-Shang-Chi methodology for you to include in your deck, it's one that costs 2. And one of the main things about Cosmo is that Cosmo costs 3, and a lot of your 10 power stuff costs 4, so you really care a lot about 2s. Armor, like Shadow King, is one of your let me do this thing that wins me this lane against all possible counterplays, and then also play 10 power somewhere else. That's a big and valuable thing. Also, since you're a Thanos deck, you already have some natural control over locations. Armor blowing up or instantly winning you those locations where otherwise you would be unable to play if you've already used Reality Stone. That can be a very valuable cube thing because your opponent will see that you've already used Reality Stone somewhere else. They're like, oh, this Death's Domain, we're playing a 2-lane game, and then you win it with armor. Cosmo is a Thanos staple, but even more important when you are playing a deck that is so built around just making guys that die to Shang-Chi. Your whole deck is guys that die to Shang-Chi. Your whole goal is making more guys that die to Shang-Chi. You need to not get Shang-Chi. Perhaps the most nerfed card in the history of the game, maybe with the exception of Thanos, this deck might actually be the most nerfed deck in the history of the game. Surtur is just still very, very strong. This is a baseline 3/5 with the upside to get to 3/9 or 3/11. There's really nothing else you can say. This is just an excellent card still. The value proposition on it is still amazing. And because you don't have to be a Surtur Scar deck all of the time, you are able to just use this guy as like, oh, he's a 3/9. I love a 3/9 in my Thanos deck. That's amazing. You've got like your Strange Supreme, you've got this guy, you've got 4/10s. You just make a bunch of dudes. I think Atuma is probably the worst of the 4/10s in this deck, in large part because he's going to be often destroying stones that you actually want Strange Supreme to eat, which means that your Mockingbird's going to cost even more. He's the worst 4/10, and if you were looking for a card to replace, I would sort of see if there was anything else that could justify it. Like, I want to play Ares, but I kind of don't think I'm legally allowed to play Ares in a deck with the stones in it, but maybe I am, and maybe it's okay for me to just do that. It just seems, when I'm running so many 1/1s, that it might not be the best option. That said, you want some 4/10s in here, for sure. You might think this guy's bad, but frankly, if you can't play this guy, you're probably not winning the game anyway. Like, you are a deck that plays very strongly onto the board in your normal gameplay, which is just very much playing stones out. You have your immediate Sam Wilson priority. You should be able to find a lane for this guy, and just being a 4/10, like, again, the key thing about this deck is that there are so many lanes in this game that if you manage priority properly, a 4/10 and a Shadow King and a 1-drop will just win. Like, there are a lot of lanes like that. Most Brood lanes are that. And that's just a really crazy thing to actually deal with. Cull Obsidian is obviously your best. I mean, there are going to be games where you don't draw stones, but they're few and far between. You have a lot of stones, you play a Cull Obsidian, you feel good about having played a 410, and everything I said about Crossbones applies equally to Monsieur Cull. I realize that Mockingbird does not trigger your Scar, or your Surtur. It makes no sense that this card is in here, except for the fact that she's broken. Like, this is where we really get into talking about what the problems with Thanos are, what makes it so powerful. It's Mockingbird and it's Sam Wilson, and it's the way those cards interact with an already powerful shell, and it's the fact that Thanos just got 2 extra power, and he starts in your hand every game, and that sometimes you play him on 5, and it turns out that playing a 5/12 indestructible that starts in your hand every game while discounting your Mockingbird and gaining power on your Sam Wilson is just good enough to supplement any number of things. It really goes to show just how strong the Thanos shell is, that this is in every single iteration, no matter what the focus is. From 10s to tech to ongoing, those cards are the same. I honestly had a little bit of reticence to being like, yo, check out my off-meta deck, and it's just Thanos. I know people are going to be mad about that. It's okay, though. I accept it. Your anger is valid. Thanos is a very powerful thing to do, and I do think that this deck is making a reasonable point of 10s plus Shadow King, big bodies plus Shadow King, being a very relevant thing to try to attack this current metagame. So I do think that it's a solid option. That said, it is hard to know how much it's carried by Thanos, and it's frustrating that I feel like this deck is a better shell for what I'm trying to do, in large part because of the baseline power of Thanos and the addition of Strange Supreme discounting my Scar, than actually just playing a 12-card Surtur Scar deck. He's big. He's green. He only costs 3. It's Scar. It's Scar. That's what this guy is here to do. Getting to 3 really matters when all the rest of your guys are 4s. So just a couple of 10s on the board. This guy is a very powerful closer. And I think we are in a metagame where everyone is like sort of worried about like, you know, things that sort of go exponential, or not necessarily exponential, but just like gigantic Gores running around, gigantic Ajaxes running around. And in that sense, a 3/12 can feel quite pedestrian. But again, you are backing up your pedestrian 3/12 with like, oh, nice 40 power Captain Carter lane. It's going to 16 power GG, you know? Like, that kind of stuff is extremely important when you have access to like big bodies that don't get Shadow Kinged. In a world where we're trying to leverage Shadow King as much as possible, we don't get to run the big bodies that do get Shadow King. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I have been KMBest. You have been phenomenal, and I will see you in the next one. From now. Holy shit, we actually drew Mind Stone on one. They're gonna play a Sarah here, I think. I'm interested in finding out what they do. Do I snap this back? Let's do it. My God, I'd be so mad. I'd be furious, chat. Turns out pretty much anywhere the shadow on. I'm retiring. I am retiring, chat. Quinjet Valentina. Could be a lot of things. The double up deck. Why, what happened? They messed up matchmaking a little bit. The honest answer. Is this a reasonable enough play? Maybe. I mean, maybe we just say they don't have Shang, is the other thing we can do. Boy, it sure looks like they have Shang and they're going to play it in the right location, huh? Oh! Let's go! Oh, let's go! I think I want to do this. Not sure though. I don't think they'll contest this. I think this is all middle. If we do something like this, it looks like this. But we do get got by, like, unit here, brood here, surfer. And I don't think there's anything we can do about that. So what I'm going to do is play for the reality stone. Oh well. Wait. We beat that by 1 point in the mid. Let's go. No! Okay, we still win the tiebreaker. Jesus fucking Christ. We win the tiebreaker by exactly 2 points. Ooh, a Mind Stone. Ooh. I will play exactly Mind Stone, most likely. Because drawing 2 is still good enough to be worth the board space most of the time. I think we'll put a Power Stone there. I think we'll put a Surtur in there. We both get Fan Eye. Oh, a Spectrum. Okay. Oh. So they move it there and play Spectrum. Yeah? Spectrum plays for... I don't know, maybe they also have Mockingbird or something. No, I'm pretty sure I win. I didn't snap back because if they had a Mockingbird, we were dead there. All right, we got a Mind Stone. We're going against Arishin. Got a Mind Stone. We're going against Arishin. I have half a mind to snap here. Arishin is such a shit pile that I don't feel like snapping here, but like I kind of want to snap. Oh, there goes Thanos. All right, that's not great. On Goliath is kind of sick nasty though, actually. Let's spread a little bit in service of Crossbones. We're crossing some bones, dog. Some bones are getting crossed. Are we going back to 410 Thanos? I don't know about that. Huh. Wow, I mean, that's amazing. So the way I see it, they need a whole bunch of shit. That's 11. Yeah. That ain't happening, dog. They need a whole bunch of shit. To be honest with you. We have not had very many, like, early stone games. This is, like, one of our best draws, honestly. It's messed up, but true. I am going to snap this because I get stones and strange here. a Surtur gamer? We are well beyond caring, I think, at this point. Just give me the energy. We're gonna do some stupid shit. Sure, man. You got it. Objectively, helpful to me. Yep. I think there's probably ways I can fuck up their thing, and they just can't stay against me unless they know exactly what's going on. Hello, squirrels. I'm gonna hold here. Without Wiccan in my deck, I don't feel nearly the same pressure to, like, play stuff out. I'm happy to just go Surtur, Cull. Oh. I mean, have some crap, dog. The old take my stones brick. Yep, a little bit. Okay. They're just gonna let me win that right lane, I guess? Can't say I understand what the fuck's going on here. Yup. Agent Venom, Madam Web. I think this is the Athena deck. Agent Venom, Madam Web. I want to say this is the Athena deck. Hopefully I'm getting 4 here. Because we'll have to move the Hulk to make this shit work. Let's assume they're going for the middle, and then all we've got to do is dump everything on the right. They stayed. All right, let's see if we can figure it out. Oh. Okay, we're done. Yeah, buddy. I'll take my 4 now, please. How did you manage to get an in-game avatar with a photo of you? All skill, really. Alright, if I manage to lose this one, I don't even know what to say. Oh, wait, hold on. Let's order this slightly differently. We'll do She-Hulk and then Thanos. So that way, if they Juggernaut the right, we'll still. They just gave up. Correct. Correctly.